Did you know that Jerome, Arizona used to be known as the wickedest town in the West? Well, today we're going to take a quick tour of Jerome. I'm going to share some of my favorite places. I have been visiting Jerome for years now. I now have the pleasure of living at the base of the mountain, so it's literally 7 minutes from my house. I still go there on a regular basis because it's just a fun place to go. I like watching the people. I like eating at the restaurants up there. The artisans up there and craftspeople have beautiful artwork and different things displayed and for sale all the time. So if you're local, please, I encourage you to take advantage of a place that is literally in our backyard. The reason, very quickly, and again, I don't know the dates of everything, and if you want to know the exact dates of Jerome's beginning, middle, and end, that's, part of why you want to visit up there, because they have two historical museums. One is owned by the state, and you have to have a state, you can go in and pay a daily state rate to get in and tour. And then there is the small little one maintained by the city itself that's on the main drag. The reason that Jerome was considered the wickedest town in the West was because it was a massive mining town. Copper mining was at its height. It was extremely successful, the copper mining there. And so there were a lot of men and not a lot of women, okay? So the men, ladies of the night, did very well in Jerome. And there were varying degrees. And I didn't know that until I went to the little museum maintained by the city, and they explain a lot of information about the city, the history, the details. I mean, it's really pretty awesome. So the first thing I'm going to recommend, and I don't have a picture of it, but there is a small museum in one very unassuming little store, and they have things to buy that are copper and whatever in the front, but the museum's in the back. And you go in and it gives you all the history about Jerome and how Jerome came about, the copper mining, how, the police force was implemented over time, but initially there was no police, there was no law enforcement, there were gunfights, and there was crazy stuff going on all the time because there was nothing. It was just people working and making money and drinking too much when they had time off and other things. And yes, like in the movies, the gambling, the drinking, the prostituting, all of the gunfights, it all was going on in Jerome. So Jerome was built on the copper industry. And it did really, really well until the copper industry failed or stopped. And part of the issue with living in Jerome is that there's a lot of copper mines all over in the mountains and in the hills in there. And it's also very, very steep. So it's literally a town built on the side of a mountain. And if you go to the state-owned museum, you're going to learn a lot about the mining and the mining shafts and all of that kind of stuff. And so things slid in Jerome. Houses slid. There is the remains of the jail that slid down the side of the mountain. That's pretty cool to see. It's not cool that it slid, but it's kind of a historical place. In the pictures, these are pictures that I've personally taken in one of many of my visits there. I have been visiting Jerome for years, and I really encourage our locals to take advantage of the restaurants, the artisans, the entertainment events. There's a glass blower up there that shows how to do glass blowing. I mean, there's just a lot of very fun activities going on, great food, great artwork. So there's a little bit of everything. There is an artist up there that I just love her art. It's called clay pinch sculpting. It's a very unique way of sculpting, and she has done tons and tons and tons of sculptures. She has a whole huge display that's very biblically based on scriptures and things like that. So her artwork is displayed throughout town, and there's one shop that she has most of her things at. So please check that out. There is a lot of motorcyclists like to ride up there because it's a very scenic ride. When you're coming up from the Prescott Valley side on the switchbacks, you're overlooking the Prescott Valley initially, and then you're watching the Verde Valley come into view, and you're seeing all the red rocks just laid out in front of you. It's absolutely stunning ride, fun ride. So you're going to see a lot of motorcycles on the streets. Then obviously there's bars there, there's restaurants, there's gift shops, there's art stores. There's a store that's just about kaleidoscopes, which is absolutely phenomenal to go in and look at all of the different ways that you can look at kaleidoscopes. Clink Scale is one of my favorite restaurants there. You're going to see some pictures of that. Actually, one of my neighbors manages the Clink Scale, so yay. And his name is Mike, so ask for Mike. And tell him Judith sent you. See if you get a discount or a special seat or something. I don't know. And it's just such a great place because, so when the mining stuff kind of fell out and wasn't really producing, the city died. It really just became like a handful of people living there, and it just sort of fizzled out. However, in the 60s, the hippies, and I say that generally because that's what they say in the information if you start reading about, discovered Jerome. And they found it to be so beautiful and such an artistic, it just drew on your artistic energies. It was a beautiful views, and it wasn't swarming with people yet. And so they sort of dug in their little feet, and it became a very artistic oriented city. And then restoration of the buildings, the historical buildings and things like that, the history has just sort of transpired from there. And so you see a lot of historical buildings. There's placards on the buildings giving you information about them. There's a placard by one alley, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like the men would go through this alley to the back street, and that's how they'd get to the ladies of the night. And then there's hotels that have kind of sunk, and then there's information about them. It's just one of those places that you just kind of go and you just feel kind of the environment. Now, the other reason that people love coming to Jerome is because of the spirit world, the ghosts and things that they feel are their haunting. Now, I really don't know a whole lot about that, so I have to kind of defer to my ghost hunters on that one. But apparently, there's a lot of plasmatic, I don't remember the word for it, but there's a lot of ghost energy there. Now, the Jerome Grand Hotel, which also has a restaurant called the Asylum, and I've eaten there several times. I think there's a picture in there of my partner with a wine glass that says Asylum on it. That's the name of the restaurant. So the Asylum is located in the Jerome Grand Hotel. So you can eat there and sleep there, and they have, historic rooms, but it is known for being haunted. So if you're scared of ghosts or that bothers you, don't stay there. However, pretty much anywhere you're going to stay in Jerome, you're going to be dealing with potential hauntings. Part of the reason that the hotel is considered haunted is it used to be a TB hospital, so a tuberculosis hospital, before it became a hotel. And the hotel has burned down like twice. So it's been rebuilt several times. It's a very beautiful historic building. In October, and now again, you're not going to see this until after October, but you can plan ahead for next year because they do tons of ghost tours and things like that. They do it year round, but it's just so popular for people to come in October for the Halloween month to do ghost tours and visit all of the haunting places throughout the city of Jerome. And I've never done it. Maybe I will. I just haven't. But it's something that's of interest to people here. There's the haunted hamburger restaurant. There's the Clink Scale. There's a Mexican restaurant. There are coffee shops. There are places to buy treats and snacks. There are bars. You can have an alcoholic beverage. You can come in the evening. They have bands and things in the evening. It's one of those places that there is something for everyone. If you come during the day, you come and you're enjoying the different shops. There's kids here everywhere. Oh, I forgot. There's a couple other things that I do enjoy here. There is wine tasting, and I've done that at Vina Zona. That was fun. I've done that with friends. And then there is a shop where the old theater is, and they have renovated it, and you can do a donation and go tour the theater. And it's just so cool. I mean, it's just cool. They've done a lot of renovations and restoring, so you can get in and just walk through the old theaters. And again, it's a town that has rebirthed itself several times. It started out as a mining town, and it was the wickedest town in the West. Then it died off, and there were different people who lived there. Were regular white people, there were Hispanics, there were Chinese were here quite a bit. The Chinese population had gravitated from California to Arizona. There were different cultures and populations in Jerome, and again, this little museum tells you all this. They had little pockets where they were allowed to live, and then they all worked together. Obviously, also, many people died in the course of the mining, so their ghosts are there. There's a cemetery up in Jerome. It is privately owned now, so you can't see it unless it's potentially part of the tours. The views up there, the panoramic views of the Red Rocks and the Verde Valley, looking over Clarkdale and Cottonwood, it's absolutely stunning. So if you're living in the area, I certainly encourage you to make it a trip, a day trip. It's great. If you have family and friends coming into town, take them. They're going to love it. They're going to thank you for the opportunity because the views are phenomenal. The history is interesting. The buildings are entertaining. The food is good. There's really no reason not to go and spend time. And if you're thinking about moving to the Verde Valley, here's what I say. I live where everyone else wants to come and vacation. And I don't say that because we're swarming with people. That's Sedona. Sedona gets kind of busy, but the rest of us, it's pretty normal. It gets busy at different times of the year, but nothing unmanageable. And it's a great excuse for your family and friends to come visit you and vacation at the same time. You get to play tour guide for your family and friends. And so I look at it as a privilege to live here. I absolutely love the fact that I get to be a tour guide to my family and friends and show off this beautiful area that we live in. And Jerome, I'm going to say, is one of my favorite places to bring my family and friends. And I don't know how many people I've taken to the Clink Scale to eat because it's my favorite place up there. Now, if you'd like to know more about living in the area, Cottonwood, the Verde Valley, Sedona, or you just want to know more information, please comment, like, and obviously watch my videos. My videos are about the Verde Valley. They're about information that's helpful to you as a person who may be buying or selling a home. There's a lot. And my goal is to inform you as much as possible about living here. And there will be many more interviews coming. So subscribe, comment, and I look forward to seeing you.